Hi everyone, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the romance books and romance novellas I've read somewhat recently. So in June I went a little bit unhinged and I decided to try out the Ice Planet Barbarian series by Ruby Dixon, and it was a time. To be honest, it was a complete time. So let's start with the first book, which is Ice Planet Barbarian. In this one, we basically follow this woman who is kidnapped by aliens, but the ship she's in crashes into this other planet that's completely made of ice. And as she is escaping the ship in order to find food for her and the rest of the women who were kidnapped and are now stranded in this planet, she encounters this alien on this planet who immediately has the hots for her, basically. So I rated this book 2.5 stars. It was a mess. it was so chaotic, but I had so much fun with it. Like, my biggest qualm with it is that there's like dubious consent in the beginning of this, because essentially the two characters meet and the alien is incredibly horny for her, and so he eats that pussy without consent, yo. Like, literally, she's half unconscious and he just goes to town. And I'm like, sir, calm down. I'm like, please restrain yourself a little bit, okay? Like, the woman is barely conscious. Why do you think this is okay? Why? And then the other qualm I have with the series is just obvious from the book name. Like, really? Ice Planet Barbarians? Like, really? Was it completely necessary to call these aliens barbarians? Was it? I don't think so. But apart from that, I was into this, honestly. It was hilarious. It was really, really, really funny. It had Star Wars references, which were also fucking hilarious, and I loved it. And then, like, was the romance believable? Absolutely not. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Like, once I got over the dubious consent element, basically, I just had fun. It was just a good time. Plus, I'm just here for the aliens who like to eat pussy. Like, once it became consensual, I was like, yes, I 100% support this. This is iconic. This is incredible. I'm living for it. So then I read Barbarian Alien, which is the sequel, and I actually gave it 3 stars. Like, was it still messy? Yes, but I enjoyed it. Like, there was once again dubious consent issues, because in this one we're following this woman who she gets kidnapped by one of the aliens in the planet because he knows that's his mate, and so he's like essentially going to force her to like him. You know, it's messy, but I enjoyed it because both the characters were stubborn as hell. Like, they loved to get on each other's nerves. Like, they liked pushing each other's buttons, and that was fun. And then I just liked that the protagonist in this one was very much trying to subvert the expectations of her mate. She was like, listen, I'm not frail. I'm not going to break easily. Like, I can hunt for food, I can take care of us. And there's this whole scene where he gets wounded and she's the one who nurses him back to health by going hunting for food, making sure that the cave they're in is warm, etc. And I'm like, icon vibes only. But anyway, this one also acknowledged one of the things that I had issues with the first one, which is essentially that the women who got kidnapped into the spaceship in the first book, they're all like 22, and basically the aliens on this planet all expect them to be ready to be moms and be getting pregnant and having babies, and just no. it is just something that I'm like, okay. Like I understand the breeding kink, okay? I respect it. I accept it. It's fine. But the absurd expectation that every single woman in this ship, one, will be heterosexual, two, will want to carry an alien's baby, is just like, what? And so this book kind of mentioned that, but then it got worse in book 3. Whew. So, book 3 is Barbarian Lover. And the only reason it got worse is because we have a protagonist who is infertile. I don't know how you say the word, but she can't have babies. But of course, through the magic of the story and the fact that basically the alien species in that ice planet has to take in this parasite in order to survive the elements, basically the temperatures and all of that planet. And so the women have to take on this parasite in order to survive. And so the parasite essentially healed her womb or whatever. And so by the end of the book, she was able to have a baby. And I'm like, I hate when that happens. I hate it. I hate when there's a woman who has been, like, a doctor has certified that she cannot bear children, and then poof, magic, it's fixed. It's annoying as hell. It's so annoying. I just wanted them to work it out just as is, without her having to get pregnant and prove that she's no longer infertile and no longer unable to bear children. Whatever. Listen, at the end of the day, the reason I continued with this series is, one, because the smut is great. It's just a fun time. It's a good time. I like it. This third one had this excellent scene that I was like gonna fight the author if she didn't include it. And it was that essentially the love interest at the beginning of the story gives the protagonist a replica of his dick, essentially. And then you know what happens after. That was very satisfying once we got to the point. Once we got to that point, I was like, thank you, Ruby Dixon. You delivered exactly what I wanted you to deliver. So you had follow through, you committed, and I'm grateful for that. And so the other reason why I continued with this series is because it was just fun. It was lighthearted, it was easy, I didn't have to think hard. It was basically something I could read for funsies and not have to worry about anything, essentially. So after that one, I didn't read anything else, honestly. I didn't continue with the series because I basically had enough. I'm like, okay, that was satisfying. That scratched my itch. It also satisfied my curiosity. So now I can move on with my life, you know? So the last book I'm going to be talking about in this video, which is another scenario of me going unhinged, is An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. Now, see here. I was not really interested in Bridgerton. I know the TV show got a lot of popularity and it looks very aesthetic. I still might watch it just for the aesthetics, but I wasn't really interested. But the thing is that because I'm doing my master's in teaching, I had to get my fingerprinting done. But like the dumbass that I am, I didn't bring a book with me. Again, I'm a clown. And so I walked to a Walgreens to see if I could find something to read, and I found this book. So I picked it up. And at first, I was having a really good time. I was having actually such a good time that I kept sending quotes to my friends, laughing my ass off, if I'm being honest, but like in a wholesome way or like in a satisfied way. It wasn't in an I'm making fun of this book because it's complete trash. It's I'm laughing with the book, you know? It was in that way. I was genuinely, honestly, I was impressed. I was impressed. I was like, wow, I'm actually enjoying this book. I'm like, am I going to want to read the rest of the Bridgerton series? I was like, is that what's happening here? Like, wow. Honestly, I was shook to my core. I was shook to my core. But then miscommunication started happening. So let me start by talking about what this book is about and what I rated it. I rated it 2.5 stars. This is essentially a Cinderella retelling in which we follow this woman who is the illegitimate daughter of an earl, and she catches the eye of one of the Bridgerton brothers. And so she and the Bridgerton brother meet at this masquerade ball, and they kind of hit it off. They have this wonderful night, but then, you know, it's Cinderella. She disappears into the ether, and he tries to find her, but he can't. And so they meet again because, of course, we have to have the scene where the love interest saves her from being sexually assaulted. Love that here. No, we don't. But regardless, he saves her from being raped, essentially. And so he takes her to his house. Let's call it his house. And at this house, basically, he gets sick because they're driving through the rain. And by the time he gets to the house, he is very, very sick. So she takes care of him to make sure the man doesn't die, you know. And so they kind of hit it off then too. But she knows who he is. She knows that she met him during the masquerade ball. But he thinks this is just some random woman that he's kind of into now. And so they have some nice banter at first, some really fun interactions. But then, okay, so I have slightly forgotten what I was saying because my memory card was full, so I had to delete a bunch of videos in order to keep recording. But essentially what got annoying here is that the miscommunication between these two characters revolved around the same two issues. And that was that the protagonist knew that they had met before during the masquerade, and that the protagonist kept not saying that she was the daughter of an earl, the illegitimate daughter, but still the daughter of an earl. And so these two pieces of work kept not having adult conversations with full sentences. They kept saying things that were not enough for the other to understand where the other person was coming from. And I'm like, why? Just why are you making me suffer like this? Like, I don't want to suffer like this. And then there's the whole part where the love interest keeps asking her to be his mistress because he can't possibly imagine a world in which a woman with no title and no money could possibly be his wife. And I'm like, I'm sick and tired of your shit, Benedict. I'm sick and tired of it. He kept insisting. Every time she said no, he was like, yes, just do it. Just be my mistress. And I'm like, get the fuck out of my face, Benedict. Just leave. Just leave. But my suffering did not end until the book was over. And honestly, I kept reading because I needed to see when they had an adult conversation in full sentences. I needed to see it. I needed to see it because it was going to drive me insane if I didn't reach that point. But did I regret it? Yeah. I regretted it because it was not worth it. Like, one, there was a single smut scene in this book. One. Look at this bitch. Look at her. One smut scene. So I'm like, so I suffer through all this bullshit and there's only one smut scene. And then it's super vanilla. It's like the most basic sex scene I've ever read in my life. Like, he kept talking to her like he was gonna blow her mind, and it was just basic. Like this man didn't even This man didn't even eat her pussy. I'm like, how is that mind blowing? I'm like, how is just basic traditional sex mind blowing in this situation? I can't. I can't. See, me talking about this is why I barely have any subscribers, because the YouTube algorithm is like, she is talking forbidden things. She is saying forbidden things. So no, we don't want anyone to see her, her videos. But I'm serious. I'm serious. This, no. Just no. And then, of course, the ending is that she had a secret inheritance all along, and once he knew who she was the daughter of, he was like, "Oh, it's fine." Like, he was mad at first that she hid it, but then he was like, "Oh, it's fine. I still want to be with you." Blah 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 blah. And I just can't. I just can't. I'm done. I'm done. Okay, I'm just done. So yeah, that's the story of how I went full unhinged in June, and half regretted it and half enjoyed it. Will I continue doing this? Yes, the answer is absolutely, because I need the chaos. It entertains me. It's something fun to do. So it is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you would like to follow me on any of my social media, I will have the links to that down below in the description. But for now, see you next time.